Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the Bond Beyond Fraternal Networking for Life After College. Tonight we have a lot of esteemed guests for our panel tonight. We have various alumni across the country, and also we have Ian Galopi moderating the chat. My name is Van Dow. I'll be your facilitator for tonight. I'm currently the director of expansion, and then we have Ian.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Ian Galopi, and I'm your current director of programming. And I'll be your moderator and our chat dude for tonight.
And here we have our esteemed panelists. We'll start off with their introductions. Calvin, can you go first?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. My name is Calvin Guo. I crossed spring 2015 at Syracuse University, and I serve on the board of directors as the external vice president.
Great. And Tanner, you can go next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Tanner Nguyen, across Fall 16 at the University of Nebraska, and I am your Director of Education.
Next, we can have Matthew Wright go.
Hi, everyone. I am Matthew Wright. I crossed spring 17 at North Carolina State University, and I'm currently the Carolinas and Tennessee District Governor.
And lastly, we can have Earl Byron Souls.
What's up, y'all? My name is Earl Byron Souls, but I just go by Byron. I crossed spring 19 at the Florida State University Associate Chapter.
Unfortunately, Joel Pitardo and Lauren Becker Jr. could not make it. They had some miscommunications with their schedules. So we'll have these four esteemed panelists joining us tonight. So the format will be that we'll ask questions for the panelists, and they'll have about 2 minutes to answer. If you guys have any questions, please just put them up in the chat. We'll have two questions, and then we'll open up to the audience if you have any questions regarding their answers. And then we'll finish off the panel with 2 more questions. All right. So the first question is, why do you continue to serve on the international board? And I'll start off with Calvin.
So I'm currently entering my 3rd year serving on the international board. I would say that the main reason why I choose to and still continue to serve on the board is honestly because I love Lambda Phi Epsilon and I want to give back to this fraternity that gave me so much. Since I crossed, I had an amazing experience getting to travel and meet people from honestly all across the US and around the world. I'd say that I had an amazing Lambda experience thus far, and I honestly still got the rest of my life with it, so I might as well do anything in my ability to give back and ensure that brothers after me can experience everything that a fraternity has to offer.
And then can we have Tanner? Why do you continue to serve on the international board?
Yeah, hi, so this is my 2nd year on the board, and I would echo a lot of what Calvin said. I got to travel a lot during my time as a Lambda, as an undergraduate, and I got to meet a lot of people, expand my network, really learn a lot of things, and I'm very excited to be on the board and have the opportunity to teach future generations so that we can have Lambdas as a force for good.
Thank you. And then can we have Matthew?
Yeah, I'm entering my 2nd year on the board, and I value most the opportunity to meet other brothers outside of my chapter. And being that North Carolina State is a relatively young chapter, it was important for me to branch out and really know bros from other areas. And being governor has allowed me to connect not only with other chapters in my district, but also with new chapters like the University of Tennessee, which I was fortunate to help charter. So I'm just grateful to meet other bros and continue to serve at a greater capacity.
And lastly, we have Byron.
Yeah, so I continue to serve on the international board. Well, this is my 1st year because I see potential for this fraternity to continue growing in the ways it has been growing in the past few years and decades. Because of Lambdas, I've grown in many ways, and I want to share what I experience and even expand that with bros from the past, present, and future. I feel that I could be a part of that growth and create tangible change that will impact the fraternity for the better. So I just want to keep on helping with that change for the good, pretty much, for the fraternity.
All right, thank you. our next question will be, how has the fraternity given back to you in terms of professional experience? And we'll go in the same order. So Calvin.
So the fraternity has honestly helped me develop my professional experience in numerous ways. Uh, I think at the chapter level, there's always at least one position. I think that there's always at least one position that you kind of find that just kind of aligns with who you are as well as what you want to do. And that ultimately allows for the individual to discover their strengths, weaknesses, all while encountering and overcoming obstacles and challenges. For me, those were external and social related positions as I felt as though I was more of a people person. But that definitely pushed me out there as well as it allowed for me to be more social, all while completing the tasks at hand. These were all pretty valuable experiences that I brought up during my interviews. And I'm a true believer that a lot of that we as Lambda men learn can be applied to our lives, our mission, vision, core values, on that lifelong discovery of authenticity and personal growth.
And then Tanner.
Yeah, so Lambda has given me a lot of opportunities to increase my professionalism and experience as an undergraduate. Coming into college, I was a business management degree, and my GBIG, he told me that everything you do in Lambdas can totally translate to business. So every time we ran a fundraiser or I ran a meeting or was a part of other organizations, I always took that as experience in my major, and I think that gave me a leg up in like my interviews or applying for other leadership positions in other organizations. And then Lambdas, like once you join, you're a part of a way bigger network, and it's a great chance to tap into that network. So I can reach out to a big bro or somebody at a different, in a different state somewhere if I had a question about stocks, or if I had a question about how to interview, or if they can look over my resume. And then this was actually a big thing for me personally. When I graduated in 2019, I was able to reach out to a few bros that were even outside of my state, and they were willing to, see if they could find a job for me in their area, and I'm totally grateful for that. And it's really, Lambda has given me the opportunities to be there, and has given me the courage to take those opportunities. I think that a lot of times there's opportunities out there, and leadership positions on campus or a promotion at work, and my brothers have pushed me to be a better version of myself.
Yeah, echoing a lot of what Tanner and Calvin said, I think that professionally, a huge benefit of being a part of Lambda Phi Epsilon is that you are pretty much joining a network of people that you can use as a sounding board and as inspiration. I've met a whole lot of bros. A few of them are in this chat or in this call right now, who I follow on social media or have talked to in person that are successful in their professional lives. I'm not gonna, call anybody out for those reasons, but just know that there are people that you can see day to day just tackling their professional goals. And that was inspiring to me as a young alumnus and aspiring professional as well. On top of that, I think I have learned a lot about conflict resolution, about time management, about working on a team, working as a team, functioning as a unit. A lot of those worthwhile aspects that you use on the job daily that Lambda's first exposed me to in a consistent way. So I'm very grateful for that experience.
And then lastly, Byron.
Yeah, so for me, I crossed the end of my junior year. So I've experienced a lot of college before then. And before I was a Lambda, I took as many opportunities as I could to lead on my campus. However, when I filled in those positions, I found out that I was lost, and in a sense felt like I failed as a leader within those roles. It wasn't until Lambdas came and I crossed that I truly found out how to be a true leader, as cliche as it sounds. after we rechartered on my campus, I became president, and with that position, I found out how to become a true leader within not just my chapter, but my community as well.
Thank you, panelists. And again, just to reiterate, if anybody has any questions, please type them in the chat and we'll address them, okay? We'll move on to our next set of questions. How has Lambda Phi Epsilon enhanced your college experience?
Starting out, I would say that Lambda Phi Epsilon has definitely widened my perspective. Being able to travel, meet, and talk to such diverse individuals all over just kind of opened my eyes to all the possibilities that are out there. Right after I helped charter my chapter in 2015, we went to Chicago for a convention, and while there, a Florida bro actually found out that I was going to be down there to work at my family's restaurant, so he came and introduced himself. He dropped by, we got to know each other, and we ended up road tripping to Gainesville, Florida. Somehow ended up deciding to go to a trip to Atlanta and ultimately to Houston. And if you guys didn't know, that's a pretty long drive. I was just kind of like a city boy from New York, and I didn't really get to travel much, so I definitely hopped on that opportunity. I stayed there for a week, but I had way too much fun, and I ultimately told them to go back to Florida without me, and that I would figure it out along the way. But let's just say I kind of ended up trapping myself there for like a month. Oh yeah, and that bro is none other than our director of expansion, Mr. Van Dow over here. But the main thing that I really wanted to get out of Lambda Phi Epsilon, besides just being able to join this brotherhood, was for the extensive network of leaders, mentors, and ultimately brothers that we have. And I definitely began utilizing it when I was in my undergraduate career. Just know that almost anywhere that you go in the world, there are some brothers nearby that you can hit up to grab a drink and just talk about life as if you guys have known each other forever. I had the opportunity to study abroad when I was in Hong Kong, and I went with a couple of my bros. We tried to find other bros while we were there. I met a bro in Thailand that crossed before we were even born, but that's a story for another day. But overall, this Lambda Phi Epsilon has definitely enhanced my college experience in numerous ways I can't even explain. But it's been an amazing experience.
Tanner, you can go next.
Okay, so how lambdas have enhanced my college experience. So I don't know if you guys are the same, but when I came into college, I was a business management degree major, and I knew I wanted to do something business, but I didn't really have anything else going on, I guess. Like I didn't really have like a sense of purpose. So I want to really say that joining Lambdas, I kind of found that. I know a lot of people say that you kind of discover yourself or whatever during your college years. And I would say that Lambdas was kind of that spark for change in my life. And so coming into my university, we knew that there was an Asian sorority on campus, and they were doing a fundraiser, and then they were asking me and some of my friends, like why there wasn't an Asian fraternity, and that's got me thinking, and that was like the change, the push I needed to start something new on my campus, right? So that's how we started Lambdas, and then after we started that, then everything kind of worked out for me, I guess. I would say there's more opportunities that come, so I was able to travel so much more and get to see so much more of the world after Lambdas. I guess it kind of gave me like a reason to travel. Coming from a small town in Nebraska, I didn't really know a lot of other places or anything, but man, after Lambdas, I've been to Chicago, San Diego, Houston, Dallas, Oklahoma, Michigan one time, and we drove a lot. I have a lot of miles on my car, and a lot of memories that come with all those experiences. And Lambdas also gave me a chance to see my effects, not only on campus, but to other people, right? So before, I always thought that I was this speckle, I guess, in the universe, but after I crossed Lambdas in a predominantly white school, we were able to do more events to promote Asian American awareness, right? I was able to mentor other people as a big bro or as a pledge father. And I was able to see that how, you know, other people are starting to look up to me and how we're all kind of growing together. And so I would say that Lambda is really, you know, it's very cheesy, right? Like that Lambda's kind of changed my life or whatever. But honestly, I'm not sure where I would be without Lambdas, but it's given me a lot of sense of purpose and opportunities. So.
For me, Lambdas enhanced my college experience because even though I crossed my junior year in the spring, so the latter half of my junior year, I still feel like I was able to create so many unique experiences in that last like year and a half that I carry on to now, being graduated for what, 2 years. Oh, that's kind of gross to think about. But yeah, I created I created connections in a short time as an undergraduate that are still carrying on today and hopefully carry on to the future. I think one of the hugest things for me joining the fraternity at the time that I did is I'm a part of our Alpha class. So that comes right after our chartering members who started the chapter. And so while the charters had the unique experience of beginning something new on campus, and I think Tanner spoke to this a little bit, the Alphas kind of have a unique position in that we are still responsible for helping cement the footprint on campus, but yet we also have an existing class or chapter to kind of integrate into. So it's a really, really cool experience to not only learn who you're joining as the charters and as alphas, but also be a part of that first footprint on your campus for the organization. And that is something that I didn't take very lightly. I remember my first convention was in 2018, and the very first thing that I tried to do was find every other bro that had my same number. So we're unique in MGC in that we usually have house numbers instead of class numbers. So MPC organizations typically start over every class from 1. We typically do house numbers. So after, like, if one class stops at 11, the next one starts at 12. And so my number is 12, and you can go to every school, and depending on how recently that those chapters started, you can find people with the same numbers as you did. So that was what I did at my first convention, right? And connecting with those bros, even with the smallest of common factors, whether it be, oh, we crossed the same semester, oh, we're from the same state, oh, we have the same number. You get to form or start conversations that form relationships that are long lasting. So whenever you are considering joining the organization or considering what your part of it could be and how it can enhance your college experience, I think it's important to see that this is so much bigger than you. And for a lot of people, I know for me, it was the first time I was a part of something that immediately connected me to a nation and continent, really, full of brothers that I could lean on and get to know and learn from. So that was a huge part of my undergraduate experience. Thank you for joining my TED Talk.
So the reason why I decided to be a part of rechartering FSU is different than why a lot of people would want to join a fraternity. Hold on, give me a second.
I love Zoom meetings.
Sorry.
Hey, he can be a Lambda too.
We do.
Boom, period. Yeah, it takes already.
Don't be.
Okay. Oh, give me 1 second.
Not a problem. Since we have a little bit of a break time, we'll address some of the questions that the audience have posed. So, what advice would you give your freshman self knowing what you know now? This is a free-for-all, so if anybody has an answer, you're more than welcome to answer the question. Well, I can answer this question. If I could go back and tell my freshman self something, the number one thing would be is time management. I stretched myself way too thin, and I learned about the consequences of that. So the most important thing to know would be time management and priorities. Reprioritizing all the stuff in your life and being just kind of introspective and figuring out what's the most important would be the best thing to do for a young 18-year-old kid. Anybody else?
I think if I were to tell my 18-year-old self something, get out of bed. Your class is at 8:30. We've been through this. You knew when you signed up. You picked the class. Why are you still in the bed? All that to say, time management, I think, was a huge struggle for me when I was younger. And joining Lambdas, that is something that you are tested on consistently and working on to improve. So if I were to tell something to my former self, knowing what I know now, time management is so important, not only for the class or for that job or whatever, but professionally, it's just so much easier and so much better to be on top of things than to procrastinate and to hold on and to wish that you were on top of things after the fact.
Great. Thank you for the insightful answer, Matthew. But looks like Byron is back.
Yep. All right. Anyways, it was the enhance your college experience question, right?
Yes. How
Okay.
has Lambda Phi Epsilon enhanced your college experience?
Yeah. So the reason why I decided to be a part of rechartering FSU is different than why most guys would decide to join a fraternity. So I wanted to start it because I saw a lot of untapped potential within the Asian men on my campus, and I saw that Lambdas was the opportunity to provide a platform for those men to finally be heard. I've always wanted to be a part of change that impacts people's lives for the better, and seeing that I was able to help bring Lambdas onto my campus and seeing my bros grow in ways that they never would have imagined that they could grow, that just enhanced my college experience to the fullest. Like I felt like that single moment when I was able to charter my university, I felt like everything was worthwhile.
And then our last question, what is your fondest Lambda Phi Epsilon memory?
Fondest memory? That's kind of a hard question. I would say that there was way too many to tell, but every single experience, meeting new brothers and talking to them as well as learning from them is a fond memory. It's always great getting together with the rest of the international board the few times a year that we actually do for Leadership Summit, President's Orientation, and Convention. But I would think that my fondest memory would have to be 2019 convention in Baltimore, where my chapter got active status and became the Beta Gamma chapter of Lambda Phi Epsilon. Kind of like what Matt and Tanner said before, me and my line brothers had the opportunity to lay down the foundation of our chapter at Syracuse University, but this was ultimately something bigger than us as a class, and it was going to take all of us as a collective to achieve this. And just seeing the culmination of what me and my line brothers started 4 years prior to that and all the hard work the brothers had built upon that. I remember right when it was announced, everyone in my chapter started cheering, but the chapter president at the time, he just dropped down and he started crying. It was like, it was just such a powerful moment for me that we got to share, and it had me feeling some type of way, you know, like, yeah. Probably it.
I hope to experience that one day soon. My I would echo Kelvin in that every moment I am with another brother is a fond moment and a memory in and of itself. But I would say a lot of the traveling memories are some of the best. And for me, it was 2018 convention in Houston. I remember we sent like 12 brothers from my chapter there, and we crossed fall 16. So this was like the first big chapter convention. So a lot of the bros had no idea like what it was gonna be like. And it was just a different experience, right? Some of us flew and then some of us drove. But the big thing was that for the bros, it was like their first experience in a big city. So like we're all from Lincoln, Nebraska, so we don't even have like skylines, right? And so they were able to see like skylines for the first time. We got to eat. Some of the bros ate Korean barbecue for the first time. We had Texas barbecue. One of my favorite moments was we woke up one morning and we all really wanted some pho. And there was one van that they took and it had like 3 seats in the back and 2 in the front. And we fit all 12 of us in there. And then they handed me the keys because I guess they thought I was responsible enough to drive. But let me tell you, like Lincoln traffic is nothing like Houston traffic is like 10 times worse than Lincoln traffic. And so we were driving and the car was like tipping over, and I had to rely on my other bros from Nebraska to, to look over if we were trying to change lanes, and it was just a good time. And to be honest, like, being a part of a chapter, running a chapter, sometimes it can be kind of hectic. You got to make sure the cooler's there for your fundraiser or people are on time at a meeting. But when we went to Houston convention, we planned everything out beforehand, and we had to go to meetings and stuff, but it was just like a time where me and my chapter was able to really enjoy each other's like presence and experience a new city all together. And I think when you experience a convention hotel, everybody in there is either your brother or sister, and you really kind of see like how small how small and how big your Lambda world is. So Houston convention, really fun.
I think, I don't know. I have a lot of fond memories. I will talk about just two. My first, I think, will have to be the orientation weekend. And I was able to participate with orientation weekend in January, this past January, with leaders of every chapter, as well as our international board. And that was very special for me because it was my first orientation being on the board and getting to, I guess, learn how the board works and how chapters operate via their leaders in a more intimate setting than convention where there's like 500 bros running around. I think that was really cool because you get to learn people a little more personally. And that's what I really value. And it's not often that you get to, if you're in North Carolina, see a bro that lives in Texas or in California or in Washington, So for all of us to share that space, I think was really, really unique. So yeah, that was really cool for me. And that whole weekend was just a really cool experience. So if you all aspire to chapter leadership, that is definitely something that you can keep on your radar. And then, all the conventions are kind of like huge versions of that. My second fondest memory will probably be the experience of chartering the University of Tennessee with Joe Vo from the University of Georgia. And I say that as one of my fondest memories because it happened this past semester. And of course, with Corona, everything hits a little different. But there has never been a time in my Lambda life up to this point where I was able to not only meet a brother from another chapter like Joe, but also work with them side by side on such a huge project and learn how different versions of our education can blend with the current curriculum to influence a new group that's starting history in their state. And working with the charters from Tennessee, a few of them are in this call right now. This is going to sound really cheesy, but forgive the cheese. I have honestly, it's been a while since I've seen a group of people so determined to do something positive as a group on their campus. I've educated class at NC State too, and they're very similar in that this group of guys really wants to spread that energy and spread that image of Lambda Phi Epsilon positively on their campus. Which is why I say that, like, if you are at that school, you're in very good hands, because getting the wisdom that I've gained and Joe has gained from International Board and from Van and Ian and Calvin, David Kim, etc., Brian DeSono, all of you guys on the International Board, like, that wisdom funnels down through us, which funnels down to the groups that we educate, which funnels into the campus community. And the positive impact that you can see on the campus is already visible, you know? So to be a part of something like that and to be able to help make that footprint in a new campus for Lambda Phi Epsilon, I think is a really huge deal. So those would be my fondest memories of Lambda Phi Epsilon thus far. Stay tuned, because there's more coming.
Yeah, for me, yeah, so for me, my fondest memories are always the times I was able to travel. Because of Lambdas, I've been to Baltimore, Vegas, DC, and all over Florida. Well, mainly Orlando, but yeah, but the fondest memory I've had was when I had this opportunity to go to DC. Like, my chapter partnered with this organization and called API Votes, which the fraternities partnered with in a national level. And being a representative for Lambdas there, I felt like I've been saying since the very beginning of this call that I love making change. And this was the moment that I knew that I can actually start making change within my community, being able to get people to vote, being able to increase voter turnout, and things like that, things that I'm actually passionate about since I'm a political science major. It made me it made me proud to be a Lambda. And also being in DC with my line bro, Kyle, we were exploring the city and then we'd get lost. And it's okay, because if you get lost in DC, you turn a corner and you see a museum and you just get lost even more, but you could stay in that museum for a while. And I really bonded with my bro there. And it was such a great moment for me. Yeah, and I just want to travel again. I hate Corona. Yep, that's it.
I just want to thank all the panelists for answering their questions wholeheartedly. Those were some authentic answers, and they truly grasp what Lambda Phi Epsilon is about. We had an audience member ask a question: how does the chapter encourage career success after college? If anybody has any experience, we can open this up to any alumni that would like to speak about it. We're joined by many members of the International Board. So if anybody would like to speak up, please do.
Then I'll go.
Great.
Hi, so my name is David Kim from the University of Texas. And how has Lambda's helped with my career? So many different ways. With anything in life, you just gotta give as much as you can, and then, you know, karma will do good for you. And fortunately for me, two of the businesses I've opened up with, I had 3 partners, and of the 3 partners, 2 of them are in my chapter. One of them was my pledge kid, and one of them was my pledge bro. So just even to have that opportunity was amazing. I recently just got into my MBA program, And Brian DeSono, he was able to write me a beautiful recommendation letter, which helped me get in. And so there's many opportunities. You hear many times where a bro would open up a business and give people jobs, or people are in HR. We have someone named Andrew from Bing, and he's the HR person from Goldman Sachs. So you always have an in and out. You just got to figure out a way to connect with these people, figure out a way, how can you get involved and be in their circle, and being in the same fraternity helps a lot. So it's really taking advantage of what this brotherhood gives. But, you know, you do the right thing, I think the right things will happen to you. So that's pretty much my advice.
I can answer too. So we actually have a brother in Florida. He's a C-level management for a home building company, Taylor Morrison, and he's actually helped multiple brothers straight out of college get a job there at his company. And you know, that's in home building, and they deal with loans and mortgages. So it's really a great way to kind of get your feet wet into the industry. It's never been an issue of getting a job. It's more or less like, hey, if you're willing and ready to, you know, put in work to the organization, by all means, you're in. We've had multiple brothers join in the company and have moved their way up. Actually, one of our panelists, Lauren Baker Jr., is now a team leader. He started off entry level and has worked his way up the ladder. And it's all due to one of our older brothers from the University of Buffalo. He joined in, I believe, spring of 1994. So there's quite the age gap, but you know, since we're all brothers, he was more than welcoming, and it was just a real feeling of home to be able to kind of have that opportunity for us.
And if I could add a little bit, a lot of chapters hold alumni panels of their own, or they are connected with a lot of resources on campus. So if you're fortunate to come into a chapter that does have a lot of alumni already, they are a first-hand resource for advice or for references or for anything you really need. Like, I know whenever I was graduating or about to graduate and was looking for advice on my resume, or for advice on how to find the first job and what to do and professionalism and all of that, I could look to a couple of our charters that had already graduated, or a couple of the guys in the International Board, and get some help that way too. So one of the beautiful things about being a part of this fraternity is not only do you get the social aspect of, you know, meeting a lot of people and doing a lot of things, but professionally you also get a lot of guidance and a lot of trusted advice from the bros that are right there in your chapter. So that's one really huge thing.
A question I wanted to pose to any alumni or brother that wants to speak up is that, you know, given the global climate of the pandemic happening, how would you describe the Lambda Phi Epsilon experience without traveling? How have you reached back into our brotherhood and used it virtually?
Yeah. So for me, like with everything being shut down, there's no traveling, there's no, like everything is just different. I was able to actually get closer with my bros from Texas just because they randomly like hit up one of our group chats and saying, hey, we're watching this rave, does anyone want to join? So I joined and I have gotten so much closer with my bros from Texas, and it's so weird that it took Corona for that to happen. But I love them. And I'm glad that I was able to meet up with them through this virtual format, because things aren't what they used to be.
I've been playing a lot more games. That's my new hobby during this pandemic, played a lot more computer games. During my college years, I was pretty good on my time management and was always kind of busy, and so I wasn't able to play games. And now it's kind of like a bad habit for me, but it's also given me a chance to connect with a lot of people. So I've connected with, I get to play with my chapter, and then I also get to see other bros and sisters that are either streaming and get to play with them. It's another way of making our Lambda world a lot smaller.
And then I can piggyback off of that. So my primary job on the international board is to plan events. And since March of this year, I had to have planned this year's convention and our training and leadership summit in August. And so for me, how I've learned throughout my time as a Lambda is definitely to be comfortable with the unknown. And I'm more explaining about that is there's so many factors when you're planning an event, and without being I'm more of a person who experiences things in a physical format and can learn from that easier than having to talk in front of a screen, having to factor in people's Wi-Fi connectivity. So it's definitely given me the opportunity to explore how I'm comfortable with the unknown and kind of being comfortable with that kind of stuff. So definitely a curveball, but it's definitely a growing and learning experience as well.
Yeah, I think that quarantine and COVID and all of these changes have really, as much bad, quote unquote, that has given us, it's also given us a lot of opportunities for good. I think that it has made us be more creative. And like what Ian was saying, and piggyback off of a lot of other bros, our convention this year was virtual. So having to adapt a traditionally physical thing into completely virtual format was unprecedented for our organization, but it went off very successfully. And so having to switch that up in such a short amount of time without our current situation, I don't think that would have been a necessity. So it's made us be more creative that way. With the way that we educate our new members this semester, we've had to do a lot of the same things. We've had to integrate our curriculum to be suitable for a virtual and in-person experience. And I think that you can tell by the chapters that chartered at Tennessee and at The Ohio State, those are very successful changes that we've implemented. So that was a fortunate thing. I think that it's also, COVID and our current situation has made us more responsible. And I say that because whenever you are locked down and there is limited interaction in one regard, there's increased interaction elsewhere. And in our case, that is the internet, social media, etc. And so with the way that our summer has been going into the fall, given that people have had more time to investigate their own things on the internet, we have had to be responsible for the way that we conduct ourselves in our membership and how we hold ourselves accountable for that same membership. So I'm glad to have seen that this semester, we were able to partner with organizations like RAIN and like with APIA Vote, to really be instrumental in positive change for our community. And I'm not saying that these would have not happened if we weren't shut down or whatever, but to be able to have a front row seat as all of these things unfold, it was really, really great to not have the distractions of regular or normal everyday life, to really see how these interactions are being taken into account on an international scale. So I think that quarantine has really given us the opportunity to make significant change in our organization that will in turn be very beneficial to the community that we serve. Ooh, I sound like I'm running from president. This is nice.
I want to talk about how the brotherhood for me has been the silver lining amongst this quarantine. Ever since joining Lambda Phi Epsilon, it has always been a feeling of home and familiarity. But in a bleak time like this, I've doubled down on the brotherhood. It's being able to congregate with brothers virtually, it's an inexplicable feeling to where you just feel that you're at home. I could be anywhere in the world and I would feel lonely, but getting on a call with my pledge kids from Florida State University or meeting up with the international board members for a happy hour really made me feel not so lonely in this, vast world. So throughout this quarantine, we've taken advantage of these opportunities, such as these virtual raves, movie nights, happy hours, and they've really cemented the brotherhood. And it's the phrase is very overused, but if you know, you know. But it's very so much a feeling to where you just you feel comfortable, and it's with quarantine, everyone is thrown off, but we've had the opportunity to really have and be there for each other. So if no other panelists or alumni have an answer to that, we can wrap up this session. I want to thank every single person for coming out and listening to our panelists. I want to thank the panelists for coming out, the international board members, and thank you everyone, and have a good night.